I was waiting for the humidity to go down. It has been so hot and I have been wet everywhere, and not in the way that you want to be on Valentine's Day.
You know what happened with the sound? I had Bluetooth off because a Rihanna video went, out again, and people have been messaging me like crazy. Sorry, I know for next time with airplane mode.
Hey kiddies! Do we notice anything different? Mummy's got a new place! Welcome to Maison Diabolus. It's only 6 frickin' years in the making. It's Valentine's Day today. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Whether you're pathetic and alone or disgusting and paired up, I hope that you're giving a to either yourself or to someone else. It's a day to celebrate. Full disclaimer, I typically don't like to retouch unless like there's a giant pimple or something, and that's only because usually they'll create a shadow that makeup can't get rid of. I had another concept in mind for Valentine's Day, and then I came up with this last minute, and I really like it because I don't know if you've noticed recently I've been including my kid in photos, and his name inspired this look, and I wanted to do something based on a famous pairing. By the way, shout out to Dip Nails, Geraldton Wax. Am I bright enough? Is that better? Can you see me better? Ooh. I'm not going to tell you what the look is inspired by until you see the end. You might be able to work it out. It's a famous pairing, and as I said, inspired by my child's name. This is actually a period look. It's actually quite simple. How do we make a period look interesting? Well, I'm going to include old school tricks from the early 1900s with modern day techniques. See, I've not done it like this before. This is, ooh.
I'm gonna make sure I don't do this.
Let's start with the base. Typically, in this period of time, you would not be seen to wear makeup. If you were seen looking like you were wearing makeup, you would be considered a woman of ill repute, a woman with loose morals. You'd be considered a whore. This is all about being natural, but this is inspired by a movie, so it was amped up. I'll be wearing lipstick. In the period, they didn't wear lipstick. They wore more like balms. Some of them had a slight tint. For the base, I prepped my skin with a very, very heavy cold cream. That would be the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream because it's basically just a really fatty cream. Back then, they would just apply a powder. I'm gonna go in to lighten my base because the character is quite light. And also, full disclaimer, as I was saying, this is last minute. So I didn't get a chance to get a wig. So I'll be styling my hair and I'll be retouching my actual hair color in post because I ain't dyeing my hair for one photo. Let's start with the base. I'm just gonna go in with a base that's lighter than me, which, if you wanna know, it's a Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation. It's very matte. This look is all gonna be very matte. And then I'm gonna go in with a couple of my Revolution concealers, and I'm gonna really keep just the base very pale, a very English rose. It's the Titanic task of me looking like an English rose, let's be honest. My mum's white, so let's see what I can pull out of my tuchus. I'm actually going to take the base over the beard to lighten it up as much as I can as well. In this period, they would often use something that was for higher level ladies, higher society ladies, I should say. They would use something called a pearl powder, which was just, as you would guess, crushed pearls. People in lower classes would use other things like chalks and zincs, flowers, cornstarch and all that. But we're going to apply a modern day. I don't want to get into the kitchen because I'm playing an upper class lady. She doesn't cook for herself. The character isn't just pale because she is. But women of upper classes, you were meant to be pale. If you went into the sun, that means you worked the land, you were lower class. Heaven forbid you have any melanin in your skin. Oh, they kept it nice and pasty. You looked like you were lacking a blood supply. That's always good. I haven't done one of these for a hot minute and I just forgot just how much work goes into it. And I'm trying to breeze through, but apologies if I'm getting my angles a bit off. This is my first time. Of course, like a good professional, I did absolutely no rehearsals. Also, if there's a lot of noise, it's very hot here in Sydney, Australia, and it's very humid. And what happens to mama when it's humid? She sweats like a bush pig. So, I need cold air. My handful of loyal followers, tell me, what are you doing for Valentine's Day? Are you going to be masturbating while crying, or are you going to be out trying to marry a millionaire? We don't judge here. We welcome all forms of life. I could get away with being this pale, but I want to be lighter. I want to be white. So I'm going to go in with this Revolution Conceal and Hydrate. I got sent this by Priceline when they didn't have my shade, and they sent me the color Corpse. Really bring it in to the center of the face. Remember, if you had any blemishes, any freckles, you were considered a leper. We want to make sure that we are flawless. Remember, the sun has never touched this skin. Never. And now I'm going to go with my finger and I'm just going to work that into the skin. This isn't about highlighting and contouring. This is the early 1900s. We do like a bit of a potato face. Nice and round. Look at that. Look at her. She's gorgeous. She's gorgeous. For those of you who are following me on the gram,
Diabolus.
you'll know that I modeled for lady lashes. So typically I wouldn't wear false eyelashes for this look, but these are glued to my face. But we will make it work. So what people would typically do, that would just be a powder, and then they would go in with a blush blush. Some people would use like a balmy blush that they would use on their lips. I want to create that translucent skin feel. Remember, I'm a woman of upper class. I want to look rich. So I'm going to go in with MCO Beauty. I still call it MCO. I don't care. Cheek and lip tint. I'm going to place it in a place that I would typically never place my blush. But again, this is the early 1900s. These women had no idea. I'm not going to lie. They looked cute. A different style, a different look, you know. They wanted that angelic, that young, that pure look. I would add more, but it's not playing well with, I actually think it's the Revolution base. Take it under the eye a little bit. We want to bring that youth and vitality right up into the eye. How exciting! I finally have a backdrop. I'm like a proper YouTuber now. So I mean, I'm going to be rich soon. I wonder what kind of scandals will get me cancelled. I do look very textured in person, but the beauty light that I'll be shooting with is going to make me look smoother than a baby's butthole. I'm gonna go in with a couple of powders. Nakia Joy. The reason why I'm going in with this one first, I basically want just a hard set. This one is very mattifying and very smoothing. Now let's smooth out our base. Remember, we do not want to set lines into our face. I always say expression is for the impoverished. Look at that. Nakia Joy. Genius. See how we're starting to get that kind of transparent skin effect? I'm gonna go in with this. This is the Makeup Obsession Pure Bake. This is horrible for flash photography, but I'm not using a flash. I'm really hoping this shows up on camera because in person, I'm not gonna lie, look divine. I'm gonna lighten it just a little bit more. I'm gonna go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. Look at that. Look at that. I just look so tight. To be fair, this part of the film, she could still wear white to her wedding. Now we're gonna go in with the blush, Kimchi blushes. I'm gonna go in with palette 1, Just a Peach, palette 4, Royal Flush. This color, which is number 2 of the Royal Flush of the Cheeky Threesome. And we're gonna go in with that one. First, we're gonna go in with the lighter color and a big brush. Now, this kind of blush, we wanna keep it to the front of the face and a little low. It's not about contouring, it's about that natural rosy flush to the face. I look like a rosebud. I could stop there, but I won't, I shan't do it. Let's go onto the eye, shall we? Typically they didn't go onto the eye, but I really want to mattify onto the eye. So I'm taking this Mecha Zoom Stick. I always use these as a base to eyeshadow because you need a blowtorch to get them off. And they're stupid cheap. I'm going to be going into the Beauty Bay Tulip palettes, the New Romance, and the Love Notes. Not used either of them. You best believe I finger bang them. And we're going to keep it in the softer tones. And we're just going to start carving out the eye. I've said this before. I think Beauty Bay is one of the best, if not the best, especially matte formula on the market, and they do some shimmers which very much defecate on the special shades of some of the mothering shades. If you're into makeup, you know exactly what I mean. And I'm going to dance around with Angel, Flush, and maybe a little bit of handkerchief for you single ones out there. Always best to clean up afterwards. I'm just going to keep the eye very round. This is a 1910, 1912, if we're going to be specific look. Back in this time, it would be one wash from the lash line fading up. But because I have a deep set eye, I want to contour the eye a little and bring out the lids separately, just to lightly feminize the face with the overall look that we're creating. Using a super fluffy brush, let it do most of the work for you. I will go into the New Romantic palette. Take a little bit of lingerie, and I'm gonna take a little bit of muffin. Let me know if you picked up on correlation as well, because I did not plan that shit. And using a clean brush, we're really going to now diffuse. Again, makeup should be invisible. We don't want to look like we walk the street corners. Not in this time at least. And especially not if you're about to sleep with a homeless person. Taking Vanilla from the New Romantic palette, which is the lightest shade, just going to highlight the lid. Again, not historically accurate. This is more for photographic dimension. Getting Muffin again and tap into that lash line just on the outer eye. And I know typically that will draw the eye out to make it a bit more almond, but for me, I want to shorten the eye a little bit. And the way to do that is to break through the light lid. Now the brows. Back then, people would use literally a clove, burn it, and then do their brows. Very imprecise, meaning it was like a soft shape to define the brows. We're not talking individual brush strokes. That's why I'm using the Give by Gwen Stefani Instant Definition Sculpting Brow Pencil, because it has this blade-like tip where I can just glide through the brows and just give that really kind of clunky shape. Look at her. She's gorgeous. You see that difference? There was one thing as well. Some people did it, some people didn't. They used different tools. Some people used the eye kohl. They used hat pins as well, which I remember reading about when I studied makeup to do a bit of a liner. And in this film, this lead actress definitely has a bit of a defined lash line. I'm going to just get ink, which is the black from the New Romantic palette. I'm gonna really work it into the back of my hand and then just smudge on the lash line. Freaking Beauty Bay, you always make such pigmented shadows, which I love. It's just, now this is black. Soften the edge again. We don't want to know there's anything on. These are just the depths of my natural lashes. I might be a redhead, but my lash line is jet black. As I mentioned earlier in the video, back then, they didn't wear lipstick. Lipstick was for the women who sucketh on the meat shoot and gotteth the pay for it. They didn't wear lipstick back then, but this character did, it seems. And well, she did bang a residence-impaired gentleman, so let's see where her morals were really at. And she was engaged at the time to someone who was rich. I mean, yeah, abusive, but you can't have everything. I'm just gonna go in with the Morphe Foolish lip liner. Now, her lips in this are divine. I'm not going for her lip shape. This actress has a very specific lip shape, and I'm just gonna give a hint of it with a beard and a very defined lip line myself. It doesn't give you much room to play. Gonna give that essence, just a taste. I almost got that perfect first go. Yay. Now her lips in the film were quite dark, so I'm gonna go in with the Anastasia matte lipsticks because they are truly a matte. I'm gonna go in with Dead Roses. You haven't worked out who this is, that name. And I'm gonna go in a little bit with Sweet Pea because he gave her the Sweet Pea. So now we're gonna go on to the beard. Now the beard is actually the reason I started creating makeup videos because some people were accusing me of airbrushing, and namely the beard. And the beard is one of the easiest things to change the color of. It was just a technique that I came up with. I'm sure many people have done it before, and you can actually see it's stained from when I did turn myself into Kitty. You get like a fan brush. You can get any brush really. I like something that's a bit stiffer, that's gonna glide over the hairs and not really touch the skin. Then you get a liquid base. I'm using 2 Makeup Revolution color correctors, and I'm just gonna glide them over the hairs. It's really that easy. But see, now we're starting to become someone else. It's funny how just a little bit of a color shift can really transport you again. Clearly I'm not trying to look like this woman. She didn't have a beard. But I'm gonna give the idea of her. And since we can't see her full bush, I know you figured out by now who I'm talking about, may as well replicate it on the face. That's all done. Mightn't look like much now, but I will go do my hair. I will do the final lighting setup. I'll do any adjustments to match. It'll all be within the same principle, everything that I've taught in this or shown in this. And I'll be back with the final image with my Valentine, the love of my life, my sweet boy, Jack.